thank you for attending tonight, and we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the prior meeting. Offer a motion. As far as the reports is concerned, off with Wally. Anything that's new that's happening at the township?
Thank you. Good to see you all. Just a couple things going on. You should, as you walk around or move around the township, you ought to see some very much improved roads. My hat is off to the DPS, chaired by Bill Kostick, and he's done some nice work as a committee, getting some of our roads whipped into shape. I think the chip sealing looks personally very great. They were doing line demarcations today, but with the rain they couldn't paint. So they'll have lines on it, and it'll look like pretty first class when it's done. Also, when you're moving through the township, I'd like you to notice that the Lutheran Church, on the corner of Church and Meridian, is putting in a connector from their parking lot to the bike paths. It's going to be an 8-foot wide asphalt connector for people to park in their church parking lot to take advantage of riding our paths, which is great. It's a good place. Another good place for people to get on the bike paths and then find some of our soft paths or quiet paths also. So my hat is off to Pastor Eubanks. He's quite a dynamo, and his group has done a really nice job. The only other thing I'd like to mention is don't forget August 22nd. We'll hear a little bit about it, but starting to shape up.
Wonderful.
All I have.
Okay, thank you very much. As far as the Nature and Land Conservancy, Bert?
The main thing that's going on with the Conservancy right now is this Saturday at 7 p.m. there will be a habitat hike at the Gibraltar Bay unit of the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. That's going to be led by naturalist Natalie Seifer.
Yeah.
How long does that last, usually?
About an hour and a half, something like that.
Okay, Leah is not here as far as the recreation program is concerned, but Wally, could you tell us about the unfortunate circumstance of the fire at the...
A little over a week ago, there was a fire. It is currently being investigated, and as a township official, I'm not to make any comments about it. Okay. But the maintenance building, in fact, did burn completely. And it had all of our mowers and equipment in it. So time will tell what happens and what was the cause. But again, I can't go much further than that.
I think the only thing is that, thank God, nobody was hurt.
Middle of the night, 4:30 in the morning.
That's a shame.
Yep.
All right, we'd like to open up the meeting by making a couple of presentations tonight to some people that have really helped us in the past couple of weeks. And we'd like to start off with the Wildlife Sanctuary. Pat, if you could show the presentation and talk a little bit about it.
To your right. See where the seal is right up? There you go.
This is the second year that Pastor Eubank from the St. Thomas Church has provided volunteers to do the mulch dispersal. We had 13 people there for 3 hours working very, very diligently, and we were only able to spread half of the mulch pile. So, however, even though we have half of it spread, we did complete the job. Every area that we wanted to put the mulch was covered. So, many thanks to Pastor Eubank and all of his volunteers. And along the way, we're going to have to decide what we're doing with the extra mulch that's there. But with volunteers like that, it makes it a lot easier to keep the trails looking good and being used for everyone. Thank you.
All right, we had another two groups of people help us out at the Playscape, and I'll talk about the presentation. On June 17th, we had two groups of dedicated folks help us spread mulch at the Playscape trail, the one that goes west from the actual Playscape towards the and back to the Kroger store and towards the public safety building. The two groups of people was number one, was the members of the Weebles Denpack 1261, who helped us remove that huge pile of chips and spread them about halfway down the trail. These were young folks in their, say, 8, 9, 10 years old, who together with their pack leaders help us tremendously in reducing the size of that chip pile and to make the trail more usable. In addition to that, we had members of the Sacred Heart Church youth group also help us spread the chips. And we started about 10 o'clock in the morning with both crews, and I think we had stopped for lunch, and then we continued on till about maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a little pile left, but there was great progress made, and we want to thank these two folks, these two groups, for helping us volunteer to spread the chips. The next item on the agenda is the trail updates. As far as the Manchester Trail is concerned, the complete upgrade of that trail, at the last township board meeting, the board approved actions to go out for competitive quotes on upgrading the trail in that area. The quotes have been are being sent out as we speak today. There's a total of 5 companies that have been invited to quote, and so the quote process is now in full steam ahead, and we hope to get responses back in due time so that we can possibly later on this summer start actually performing the work of upgrading that trail. Now, if you recall, as far as review is concerned, a young middle grade student by the name of Mitchell Lewis was instrumental in kind of getting us off dead center and going ahead and upgrading this trail, and we're going to call it a fit strip. So we want to thank Mitch for his dedication, and as soon as we get the quotes in and have them reviewed, we'll recommend to the township board one of those folks to do the work for us. As far as the wildlife sanctuary is concerned, Pat?
The video Walk in the Woods is due to be launched this week. Tomorrow I'm doing the final edit to make sure that it's everything we want it to be. I encourage people to watch it. If you need a peaceful, quiet 20 minutes just to escape from life, you don't have to walk to the trail now. You can just either bring it up on our website or go to our TV cable, and you can have a walk in the woods with all of the birds chirping and the woodpeckers going, and we hope people enjoy it. The Michigan Forestry Foundation is putting a link from the document to their site so that other people may enjoy walking in the woods on Groseal.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pat. Although Daryl's not here tonight, Daryl and I have been trying to find to settle on a date where we can spread the chips on the Centennial Farm Trail. This has been one of the wettest springs and summers that you can imagine, as you can see, and so it's getting the chips back in that area has been very difficult. Daryl and I have talked, and we have settled on either Thursday or Friday of this week to begin that program to spread the chips on that trail, providing it's not too wet from the rain we've had this afternoon. So we're still on plan to do that work. As far as the Playscape is concerned, we talked about it before. We had the volunteers to spread the chips, and we're very appreciative of their efforts. There being nobody here tonight, we will dispense with the public comment. And report, next item is the report on actions in process or completed. As far as wood cutting is concerned, Woody isn't here tonight, but Wally, are we still on tap to possibly begin wood cutting in mid-July, or is that on hold now?
Mr. Chair, I would think that we need to talk to our MDEQ representatives and see what the status is of oak wilt. If the period of time for the trees to not be affected is in fact July 15th, that's right around the corner, but we don't know that for sure. But the wood cutting and the oak wilt deadline kind of tie in with each other.
Right.
Once we've got the go-ahead from MDEQ that the trees will not be infected any further by cutting or disturbing oak wood on the ground, then we can start up a cutting program again.
Lisa Parker from the Forestry Foundation said that they are not allowing any of that cutting to be done until August 15th.
August 15th.
Oh, okay.
They moved it back a month. Good.
Okay.
Well, at least they know.
So it's on hold until at least August 15th,
Yep.
and then we'll take another look at it.
Good.
Okay, thank you very much. Letters to new residents. Pat?
We had 13 letters go out to new residents, and the letters were accompanied by our new booklet. I have not heard any feedback yet, but I think it's an excellent way for new residents to get to know what open space is and how they can enjoy it.
Okay, I think the next item is the Oakville update. Pat, I think you've already talked about that. It's on.
Well, we're having on August 3rd, Lisa Parker is coming down with 2 or 3 forestry volunteers. We are going to walk the paths that we have identified in our booklet. The volunteers are going to identify the red oaks. We are going to mark them so that they're saying that we should go through in August. That's where you really see the problems coming forth. The volunteers that we recruit and work with will be able to look at the trees and know that that is a red oak and identify what to look for around it and on the bark. They have very graciously said that they would come and do that for us. They are also going to give us information on how to manage public forest give us paperwork if we want to seek grants to help us develop a plan for keeping our forest areas healthy, etc. And so I'm looking forward to a very productive August the 3rd. If any of you want to meet with us and go with us, they should be at my house by 11 o'clock. And you all are welcome to come. But they love trees, and they're just thrilled to be able to come down and see our trails.
That's on August 3rd, right?
August 3rd.
All right, the next item is the forestry trailer, and I think, Pat, you've been doing some work on that also.
Yes, thanks to our wonderful township manager, Dale Ream, we are working with the Michigan Forestry Group to bring down their educational trailer. You got the email I sent you about it.
Yes.
It's basically 13 by 34 feet when it's opened up. They are going to add some displays to show people who have forested areas that they have in their own private areas how to maintain them. There's going to be a lot of hands-on displays, and if anyone on the committee wants to be in the trailer with us, you're very welcome. They will supply their own volunteers, but it's always nice if we have the home people there helping them. And we will have our booklets there for distribution.
Pat, there was some issue about the size and where we could place it.
Dale is working on that. We have 2 areas where we can put it. And Wally, I'd like you to tell me, I don't know how the events are spread out. The 2 areas that we can use is the parking lot down across from Bishop's Cottage, or we can use that grassy lot across from those little townhouses where you go down to get to the high school. So I know most of the activity is going to be in the commons, so we're seeking your direction on where to go with that. I don't know for sure if the grassy area would have electricity.
I'm pretty sure that it doesn't.
And I'm not sure if the parking lot does.
You got a better chance in the parking lot, but the parking lot's quite
Yeah.
a distance away from the commons.
But if need be, we might be able to just get a generator to run it.
Let's look at it. I'm pleasantly surprised to hear that you're still pressing forward. I thought it had been a done deal. No. So this is good news.
Yeah.
Thank
Well, Dale is calling Lisa tomorrow, and they're going to be working out the particulars.
I had hoped that it would be able to be placed in the parking lot directly south of the
We
park.
had 2, but we met some issues with that.
Has anybody approached the folks at the Realty on?
No, we have not, and that is an option that I think we should do.
That I think might be a good spot. I don't know that it would hurt them at all to have it there, and it would be in close proximity to the
Yeah,
commons.
because we want to keep it where the action is going to be.
Let's see what we can do.
Okay,
All right, let's see what I can do.
good. You're going to help me out?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Got to do something to earn my keep,
Would this be something that would work well at Island Fest? A multi-day event?
It would. I had tried getting it for Island Fest, but they were booked. But if we like what we have,
Okay.
they are just dying to have people to use it. I mean, obviously they put a lot of money and effort in it. When their budget was cut, they no longer have staff that can take it any place. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's not being utilized that much. But fortunately, we're able to provide a driver and a truck. So let's check it out on the 22nd. And if it's a viable thing, I would say utilize it.
How often, or what kind of popularity is the visits to the south end of the island for Grassfield Nature and Land Conservancy? site down there. Would there be a tie-in there? People coming down into the south end by the airport might,
You know, it's open every Sunday and visitors vary. If there's a program, there's 20 to 30 people. You know, there's never been a big bash planned there.
okay, that's,
And the parking lot's not all that big either.
well, let's take a shot at seeing if we can get it up here in the corner and go from there.
Good.
Thank you. There are two items that maybe we want to talk about very briefly. We don't have to decide tonight by any stretch of the imagination, but what I provided you was a real rough first drafts of maybe getting the Friends of Open Spaces out into the open. This is just a first draft of a sign-up sheet that we can have either people or groups sign up for. Maybe we can have it online, or maybe they can put it online, and so that we can have we can tap into either individuals or groups of people to help us with various projects. So this was just the first draft. I know that you, that Bert, you provided some input on that. So as far as wording is concerned, that's fine. But do you have any ideas of how this might work? We want to have it so that it's productive and so it's workable. Would we put this in the paper? We can't put it in the paper because there is no more eel camera. We could put it on the website. We did talk about it at a township board meeting, but what we need is volunteers to come forward to help us with our surveillance activities on some of the open spaces, and also volunteer for some of the work that has to be done, like spreading chips on the trails and maybe planting trees where they should be planted. So this isn't something that we need to decide tonight, but I would like to have you think about it, think about this, and come up with some ideas of how it might work. Does anybody have any ideas or comments now?
I have a question. Do you know how the News Herald is going to be set up to handle gross eel news? Like, will they have a certain section just for gross eel news?
There's certainly a lot of questions from a lot of people about that. The newspaper is in fact a Trenton paper, but they're trying to make it a downriver paper, and hopefully we'll get some favorable press. Grosse Ile Trenton Patch is another spot you can put it. We have the TV 12 ads, and I would caution you, if you put this on here, you'll get nothing on GITV 12 because there's 800 lines of type here, and people can't read that. So we'd have to figure out a series of slides, 3 or 4, to get the point across. And the other thing that I keep thinking about this is we need a gimmick. Mm-hmm. We had I Love Grosse Ile patches a couple of years ago. Maybe just a little bumper sticker or something, a window sticker that says I love Grosse Ile open spaces.
We could have a contest. Have them design the patch.
Yeah, we've seen what our youngsters can do. So our BPAC logo was designed by a youngster in high school, and she did a nice job on it. So,
Well, what I was thinking of having, well, we've been talking about this concept for a long time, and it didn't seem to be gelling. So, Bert, do you have any ideas or thoughts? Is this the way to go, or is there something different that we should do?
Well, I had a couple thoughts. One was, just by creating this form, then we're creating an administrative situation where somebody has to monitor and who's going to do that. And I was thinking whether or not we should think about expanding the whole volunteerism concept in Grosse Ile, because besides open space, there's the Conservancy needs volunteers, the Refuge needs volunteers. I'm sure there's, Beautification Committee, there's a lot of opportunities for volunteerism, and also, a large pool of potential volunteers. There are some websites, Volunteer Match and things like, and there's a couple others that do match volunteers with needy projects. And when I was at DTE, we were exploring that, and I'm not sure, how for a municipality. I mean, it can be pricey for an organization or a company to get involved, but I'm not sure what the fees are. But if the township wanted to take that on, they would be bigger than us, but it would benefit everyone, and it also builds a big sense of community as well. So that's one thought. But I had some very exciting news. I got a great email today from John Nazarjeski, who is one of the most wonderful residents of Grosse Ile. He's a high school teacher and a military reserve person, and he has been maintaining the trails near where he lives and that he uses for about the past 10 years. And coincidentally, it was really amazing. He sent me this email today saying, "What's Cliff's email? I want to talk to him about, formally engaging in something I've been doing for the past 10 years. And I said, well, this couldn't be any more fortuitous that you emailed me today, because we're having a meeting tonight and we're going to be talking about that. So I told him he would be the first person to get the sign-up sheet when we have it. But so there's, obviously people out there that are already doing that, and we need to identify them without creating a burden on us to try and manage it. But I think that's a great start that you came up with.
Okay. I don't want to make it into an administrative issue either. I mean, I just want to have maybe a pool of people. If we have a problem or we have a project, we can have people that we can, and to your comment that you made, when I talked about the youth groups at Sacred Heart and the Weebles, they said, we're always looking for something as a community project to get involved with. So they were very excited and happy to do this for us, So I really think we started something here with as far as maintaining, for just one item on here, maintaining the trails. There's at least 3 groups of people that we can call on, and they'll be out there to help us, So let's think about it a little bit more, and maybe at the next meeting, maybe come up with some concrete ideas. We may just want to put an ad in the paper that they're doing something, or I'm not sure exactly how we want to handle it. I'd like to leave it up to the group to decide how it should be done. Okay?
I think it's going to be, now that we're starting to solidify what it is we're looking for, that was a major step, and thank you for doing that. Then once we get this solidified and we're comfortable with it, then we have to figure out how to market it. That's the whole thing, marketing it. There are so many people who say, oh, I didn't know that was going on. Oh, gee, where was it? And yet, when you sit working on it, you think that you're really letting people know what's going on. So we just have to figure out the magic way of marketing it, and people want to help. It's just, how do you get them to know about it and get them to do it?
Do we go on the website?
You got to do it all. I think you got to.
Do we put it in print? Do we talk about it at township board meetings or at our meetings? Or
right.
That's the marketing is getting is simply.
Well, the main thing is visibility.
Getting the word
don't
out.
You think, Wally? The visibility of letting them know what's going on, what's there, what help is needed. Keep it in their mind. So
August 22nd is going to be one of our opportunities to see a lot of people. We need to have it ready by then. Stickers that say, official registered Grosse Ile open space tree hugger, Picture of a big bear hugging a tree or something, With the name, official, Make a badge. stick it on your back window. I'm an official
Well, if somebody
tree
has
hugger.
in other words, what I call it a brain dump, where all of a sudden things come together and say, let's do it this way, you know.
I like the idea that Bert was saying to bring the community together. One of the things that Garden Club has been looking at, trying to get people to know what an active member is. And so if we approach it, what is an active member of the community? Now, what the Garden Club is thinking of doing is saying, what does your Garden Club bouquet look like? If you attend the meetings, oh, that's a daisy every time you attend. If you're a chairman of a committee, you get a rose. And at the end of the year, what does your bouquet look like? And if we could come up, we meaning the township, come up with something as, what does your badge look like? What all have you done for your community? It possibly could work. I mean, almost like, your badge of honor here. I'm on Grow Zealand. Look, I'm active.
Well,
but we got to think about it.
yeah, Bert, to your point, maybe, is there some way maybe you could get the ball rolling on this if you possibly can?
Yeah,
To
I can get some
Yeah.
background information on
You
these.
says call it, do some missionary work on this if we can
Yeah.
to get something going on this so it'll be really effective. Anything else about this particular item? If not, the last item is something that Woody called me on the phone here about a week ago. And he said, why don't we get a small motorized vehicle for handling chips on trails instead of depending on people with a little wheelbarrows going down a trail that's maybe about a half a mile long to dump chips. And so this is something that I think maybe we should really take a look at. We're not going to decide tonight. This isn't real necessary that we get it done, but the ideal situation would be a little buggy that you can ride on, that you have a good pile of chips on. You can load it up, take it halfway down the trail, dump it. Another group can spread the chips, go back, pick it up again, and just move it along. And we have 4 trails now, and those trails are going to require maintenance. And I think this is something that we should take a look at. There's a number of ways that we could do this, but we certainly haven't settled on any of them yet. But I'd like to keep this in mind. Maybe at the next meeting, come up with some ways where maybe we should go out and rent this vehicle when we have a chip spreading party. Maybe we should buy a vehicle and have it stored in the garage or at the DPS building, use it when we need to use it, and have other commissions or committees use that vehicle as they need it. Okay? So that's the type, and it would save some time, because most of the time we have people that are running back and forth with these wheelbarrows, and that's hard work. And it's going to be particularly hard when we get this new trail finished, because that's going to be almost a half a mile long. It's going to be a long trail. It's going to be a long way in and a long way out. So we got to have something on hand to take care of that. Wally?
We have a maintenance budget to take care of trails.
Yes.
We're not exactly poor in that budget. It seems to me that we ought to be able to go to one of our local landscapers or suppliers and say, how much will you charge me per hour for the use of a man and your chip hauling device and your loader?
Okay.
And if we went out and spent $500, $600, $700, $800 for a day, you might get a vast majority of it done, and $800 a year. It takes you many years to pay off a $5,000 or $6,000 machine that you have to maintain. You have to teach people how to not abuse it. It's going to get filled with gasoline. It's going to go skunky. It isn't going to start. Going to have a flat tire. I like contracting personally.
Well, that's why I brought it up. There's many ways to do it. And as far as the funding is concerned, obviously, it would come out of the maintenance fund, as it should. And
I can't see us pushing 30 people, like you say, with wheelbarrows up and down a road when we can go out and easily rent it. That's, you want to get it done? Let's get it done. Let's make an arrangement, rent the equipment, and get it done. You can have those volunteers. They'll be much happier dragging a rake through a small pile than pushing a wheelbarrow full a half a mile.
so what's your idea, basically, let me understand what you're saying. Maybe some of the local landscapers, we can hire them for a day.
Sure.
And, okay, you go in there and you haul the chips back and forth, and we'll spread them. Sounds,
Big piles, we'll make little piles.
okay, we'll do some work on that. We can contact one or more of our local landscapers. Maybe some of our tree people would be willing to do that. Now, we're not, understand this, we're not looking for a huge tractor that's going to make ruts this deep. It's going to be something akin to almost like you ride behind it almost, you know, and you have a big barrel in front of you, and it doesn't weigh much because what's it got in it? Chips. And may have 5 or 6 wheelbarrows full, and you can run down that trail and nothing flat. Okay, good idea. All right, I think that concludes the agenda that we have set up for tonight. So I'd like to go around, and if there's any comments, Bert?
Nothing else.
Pat?
I'm done.
Wally?
I'll take both their times. First of all, hello to Art and Claire Kester. Hope you're watching, guys. Second of all, be aware that the repairs to our 3 wooden bike path bridges will be starting in the next week to 10 days. They look kind of crummy right now, but when they're done, they're going to look a lot better. We did receive bids for the bike path repairs today. They will be open at a public meeting, and we'll make a decision as to who will do our repairs and when they will start. I'm pushing hard to start fast. I do not want to start this in October like is traditional here. And then finally, anybody look at Four Corners? The landscaping on those 4 corners is very, very pretty now. That's all I have.
I have nothing. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.